Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night, Whittaker V de Ridder. The next string of cards that I do are going to be months late, but we might as well just get into it. Start off with the first fight of the night. The first Injustice, I'm all over the place right now. The first honorable mention of the night in terms of just an interesting scorecard to look at. Yahya versus Nguyen. This fight was fun from the beginning. From the beginning, I knew this was going to be... Forget about the scorecards for a second. Just the entire fight in general was amazing, okay? Let's start off with the descriptions real quick. Nguyen outstruck... I don't know how well he outstruck Yahya, but he outstruck him relatively well. But the big thing about this round, about round one, is that he drops him 6 times. And I know in the first round, they made a mention in commentary to go that one of them was a slip. No. He dropped him 6 individual times. Possible 10-8. I gave it 10-7. I know that everyone, when they think 10-7, they think of that fight Cyborg had in that one organization that I don't remember. But I feel like we can set a new standard for a 10-7. And he drops him 6 individual times. I always think to the scorecards where when someone gets dropped once in boxing, right, that's a 10-8 and then it progresses, right? In MMA, it's someone gets dropped once, more than likely they've definitely won the round. They get dropped twice, you can maybe make an argument for a 10-8. But 4 more times and you can't make an argument for a 10-7. He got outstruck pretty well. And he got dropped 6 individual times. Say what you want, I gave it 10-7. You go to the second round. Yahya dropped Nguyen. And then Nguyen dropped Yahya and landed some really good ground and pound. Also, there was like another thing that may have looked like a drop. But this time in the second round, he definitely slipped. So, that's irrelevant. But the point is that Nguyen won this second round as well, 10-9 on my scorecard. This fight ends up by TKO. I was thinking for a second that it was going to get stopped in the first round. Nguyen wins by TKO in the third round, but I was thinking it was going to get stopped in the second round. There were moments where I thought to myself, you know what, if this were in a different jurisdiction and maybe Yahya gave the face that Leal gave when he fought Salikov, I was probably going to, it probably would have gotten stopped, but that's just what it was. You go to the scorecards, all 3 judges, they have the same scorecard. Mark Collette, David Letheby, and Clemens Werner, they all have a 10-9 in the second round for a win, and then in the first round, they give it 10-8. All of them gave it 10-8. None of them thought to give it 10-7. That's interesting. So there you have it on that. Go to the next honorable mention. A fucking super boring fight. Aslan versus Elenka. Yeah, Aslan versus Elenka. 29-28 for Aslan on my scorecard. First 2 rounds for Aslan, last round for Elenka. First round, I put a close marker on. The first round is just so close you can't even, I think Aslan won the first round, but I just can't argue. I have to be objective here. In the first round, it's close on strikes. Real close on strikes with the edge to Aslan by about 1 strike. So I put a close marker on it. My count wasn't by 1 strike, and I was like, I can't stand on it and be definite that Aslan won that round. That would be insane. Second round, Aslan barely outstruck Elenka by about 3 strikes. That one I'm pretty secure on. And then the third round, Elenka barely outstruck Aslan, this time by 2 strikes. Very close fight in general, and just a pretty pedestrian fight in general. You go to the scorecards, and all 3 gave it to Elenka. That's fine. I really don't have any problems with that, but I do have problems with the scorecards a little bit. Ben Cartlidge, his scorecard is probably the most correct scorecard. He is the first round to Elenka. That's fine. Second round to Aslan. Third round to Elenka. 29-28. The next 2 judges It's a little, this one's weird. Mark Collette and Anders Olsen, 30-27 to Elenka. They give the first round to Elenka, that's fine. They give the second round to Elenka as well. I'm not really rocking with that one. I'm going to honorable mention that. I know the strikes are close, but they weren't, it was still pretty known. The round was still pretty clear on who won the last two rounds. So there's that honorable mention of those two. Next honorable mention, Ribas versus Ricci. I thought Ribas was going to win this fight. And she won the first round. The scorecards on this card are a little wonky, as are every single fight night, every single pay-per-view. Duh. That's not really a thing to be surprised at. But there's a couple fights, there's a couple rounds in this card where the judging was just super fucking poor. 10-9 to Ribas in the first round. Okay. And then Ricci wins by TKO in the second round. But let's go to that first round. Ricci outstrikes Ribas in the clinch, okay? Ricci's just holding on to Ribas in the clinch. She outstrikes her in the clinch. But Ribas outstrikes Ricci on the feet. And Ribas also had a pretty quick takedown. The strikes are pretty close with each other. Ribas has a takedown. That round belongs to Ribas, and only one judge gives it to Ribas. Surprisingly, it's Mike Bell, who we'll get to later. 10-9 for Ribas in the first round for Mike Bell. And then Saul Diamant and Clemens Warner give a 10-9 to Ricci for that first round as well. There you go on the scorecards. Go to the next honorable mention. And it's Mitchell versus Nurmagomedov. I'm not really going to talk about the scorecards because all of our scorecards reflect the same 29-28, last two rounds for Mitchell, first round for Nurmagomedov. I just want to read out the description of this fight because it's just interesting. It's just interesting. In the first round, Nurmagomedov dropped and outstruck Mitchell by about 7+ strikes. You then go to the second round where Mitchell had 3 takedowns. I think I gotta fix that description. Yeah, Mitchell had 3 takedowns with very little ground and pound. Nurmagomedov had a reversal with little ground and pound, and this was the beginning, right? In this second round, you could see that Mitchell's ground and pound, and this has been a known thing, right? From the start of Mitchell's career, when he had someone on the ground, he had a decent ground and pound. But as the opponents got harder and were hip to his game plan, it's harder for him to administer ground and pound because now he's just trying to hold on to people and people are just trying to get up. And that's what happened when you go to the third round where Nurmagomedov had a takedown, didn't do anything with it. Mitchell had a takedown and a reversal with little to no ground and pound. When I say that once he got a hold of Nurmagomedov, he just, little to no ground and pound. So much to where I was even questioning who should I give this round to? But you have to go with Mitchell given the amount of control time there was. Nurmagomedov was active on his back. He was very active on his back. The problem is the level of strikes coming from his back weren't significant enough to really switch the round to Nurmagomedov. So there you have it on that. You go to the next honorable mention. Almabayev versus Ochoa, 29-28. First round for Ochoa, last 2 rounds for Almabayev. I'm just disgusted they didn't give the first round to Ochoa. It's another fight where the judging just pretend they all just fall asleep. They fall asleep on this type of stuff. You go to the first round. Ochoa had a takedown, and he outstruck Almabayev by about 7+ strikes. Almabayev had 2 takedowns, did nothing with these takedowns. When I say that he had 2 takedowns and did nothing with them, that's what I mean. Ochoa had a takedown, and he outstruck Almabayev on the feet pretty well. That round belongs to Ochoa. If this is in the Apex, it's scored for that way. If this is anywhere else, it's scored that way. For some reason here, it just isn't scored that way. You go to the second round where Almabayev had 2 takedowns with some ground and pound. Ochoa was very active on the bottom, but it didn't matter. Almabayev, his 2 takedowns and his ground and pound was enough to win the round. You then go to the third round where Almabayev had 2 takedowns with some ground and pound. Ochoa was active again on bottom, but still wasn't enough. You go to the judges' scorecards, and it's just all 3 honorable mention. Mark Collette, David Letheby, Clemens Warner, they give the first round to Almabayev. All of them give the first round to Almabayev. That's just nonsense. Clemens Warner and David Letheby have it 30-27 for Almabayev. And then Mark Collette has it 29-28 to Almabayev. He gives the first round to Almabayev. No. And then he gives the last round to Ochoa. Also no. Honorable mention there all around. Last honorable mention, it's Whittaker versus de Ridder. This ended up being a split decision. Now, obviously, I'm scoring this September 5th, 2025. And I want to be clear here. I knew who had already won. And this is my first time watching it. It was spoiled for me. And I was given and that's what happened. Let me move to the point. So I was thinking in my head, oh man, I wonder how de Ridder won. And I watched the fight, and I was thinking to myself, okay, did he win? Is this like a clear win? This is a clear win, but it ended up being a split decision. On no planet should this be a split decision. It's not a split decision by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how we got to where someone gave 3 rounds to Whittaker, but we'll dissect it. 48-47 de Ridder. Close marker on the 3rd round. Okay, so if the close marker was flipped, it would be at least a 49-46 for de Ridder. So de Ridder won this fight. This fight was pretty entertaining, and then it got sloppy towards the end. I don't know what happened, but both fighters just got tired after. Basically, in the middle of round 3, they were just tired. Is that an Abu Dhabi thing? I don't know. I don't know if that's an Abu Dhabi thing. It's weird how that happened to them. And I was thinking to myself, I was looking at the other fights, and I'm like, no one else got tired. Even in the Yahya fight, but Yahya was just getting pieced up, so there's that. But I'm thinking to myself, was it the conditioning of both fighters, or was it? I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. So let's start off round by round. We go to the first round. Whittaker outstrikes de Ridder by about 4 strikes. That's pretty clear. Okay. Second round, de Ridder outstrikes Whittaker on the feet by about 5 strikes. He also has a takedown with some ground and pound for about a minute plus. We then go to the third round where it gets a little interesting, and I put the close marker here, but we all objectively know that the round belongs to Whittaker. Okay, I just put a close marker to be kind of fair to what Reinier de Ridder did in the second half of this round. Whittaker drops Reinier. All right, gets on top of him, lands a few shots of ground and pound, and then basically kind of gets tired. He lands a few shots of ground and pound, gets tired. Reinier gets up, gets a takedown with some ground and pound for about 2+ minutes. Now, it's not enough ground and pound to sway the round back to Reinier. It's not. Very little ground and pound. He kind of just, he takes down Whittaker, lays on top of him for about like a minute, and then starts to do some ground and pound. And from this moment, from the moment the fight started, all of Reinier's shots are just lacking oomph. Even some of Whittaker's, and from the very few strikes that Whittaker was throwing, they were semi-heavy, but everything these guys did in the octagon looked slow and labored. It just looked really, really slow and labored. And I was thinking back, man, Reinier's strikes had a little more pop in them when he was fighting Gerald Meerschaert. When he was fighting Bo Nickel, they also looked kind of slow and labored. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe this is just how Reinier strikes. Cool, whatever. Back to the third round. Whatever Reinier did in that third round wasn't enough to sway back the round. So round goes to Whittaker. You then go to the fourth round where Reinier starts to use his game plan of we're just clinching at this point. And from here, fourth round, fifth round, it's Reinier just clinching up with Whittaker and outstriking him really mostly in the clinch. Reinier outstrikes Whittaker by about 13 strikes in the fourth round. And then in the fifth round, Rainier outstrikes Whittaker by about 10 plus strikes, again, mostly in the clinch. There are a few moments where Whittaker creates some space and lands a couple strikes, but that's it. Nothing significant to where he wins the fifth or the fourth round. So there you have it on that. I have a 48-47. That's my scorecard on that. You go to the judges' scorecards, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous from only one person, and it's Mike Bell. It's insane. So Ben Cartledge and David Letheby, their scorecards reflect mine, 48-47 for de Ridder. And then Mike Bell, his scorecard reflects mine as well, except for the fourth round. He gives the fourth round to Robert Whittaker. Not the fifth round, where you can maybe be purposely selective on how you score that round, even though it belongs to Rainier. He gives the fourth round to Whittaker, who most of that round is in the clinch, and it's Rainier outstriking him heavy in the clinch. He's holding him up against the fence, and he's landing significant clinch strikes. I don't understand how that round went to Whittaker. Honorable mention to Mike Bell. That's insane. That's all I got here. That's pretty much it. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.